I'm just getting things set up here. Give me a moment, please. Let's see. All right, we're up on YouTube, and I think we're up on the old Ticker Talker. All right. So, just waiting for people to pop on, so give me a minute or two. We'll see what happens with this. I have a feeling today might get a little interesting. It's been an interesting week so far. So what I thought I would do is, because I do these lives every Wednesday from 4 to 5:30 Eastern. And a lot of times I'll have a topic that we want to cover or chat about. But today I thought I'd open things up for you guys. So, it's for those that who have no idea who I am or have never come to my lives. My name is Dan. My moniker is Men Need to Be Heard. I have a podcast that is up on all the major podcasters or podcasting platforms. That podcast goes up every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern in the U.S. And I talk about issues affecting men, boys, and things like what they have to deal with in today's society, which is kind of the open topic for today. So, I will talk about things like recently on the lives, we've talked about how boys are struggling in education and how it's not really being addressed. We've talked about, guys going through things in family court, lots of different things. So, as I said, I'm live every Wednesday from 4 to 5:30 on both YouTube and TikTok. I am also occasionally I'll jump on and do an Instagram. I did an Instagram and TikTok last Saturday, just kind of for fun. So if you are a first time viewer or checking me out, going, who the hell is this guy? That's a little bit about me. I have been doing this for a while now. Some other side notes is I host a radio program, co-host a radio program that goes once a week locally where I am. I'm in southeastern North Carolina. And on that I talk politics, but I try and avoid politics on here because really it's two different issues to me. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at today. I'm going to keep it fairly open, let you guys ask me what you wish. One of the things I love about this platform and this ability for us to meet together live is to talk about various things, yes, but also for us to realize one of the things I love about the internet is that on my lives, I get people from all over the world. As I said, a few months back, I tracked it over the course of about a month, and I had over 100 different countries that were involved or watching, I should say. It was really cool that I could do that and have that ability, right, to communicate with people from literally all over the world. It's something that I really, really think is cool about the internet. I really do. And it's something that needs to be celebrated more, I think. And people focus on the negative with the internet. And let's face it, there's a ton of negative. Hey, such and such from Jamaica, one of my favorite places I've ever been. Love Jamaica. Love it. Been to Ocho Rios, a few other towns that escaped me. Loved it there. I actually at one point considered moving there. And no, not because I'm a passport bro, but because the people there were amazing and are amazing. And I just love the country. But yeah, so one of the things, like I said, I love chatting with people from all over the world. I've had people on my lives from all over the world. And it's a way for us to get to know one another. And I think the biggest takeaway that I see from doing this is that there's so much division in the world right now, whether it's, sexes, races, countries, all that stuff. But yet, here we can all come together, be respectful of one another. And I will tell you, 99.99% of the time, people are respectful, get along, awesome. There may be some disagreements, but it's respectful, right? That's the amazing thing about this. For all the negativity that you see out on the internet, and believe me, I've been dealing with a lot of it this week. It's really cool to me that we can have conversations about whatever it is we're talking about. And hey, Trippy Hippie OG. If you are not following Trippy, go follow her. I'm going to scroll through the comments in a minute, guys. But again, just to kind of reiterate, today's open chat. I want to know what you guys want to talk about, although I have a pretty good idea what you're going to bring up. Yeah, so if you're first time watching, my name is Dan. Men need to be heard. This beautiful shirt that I wear, a beautiful mug that I have. Merch, if you are interested, by the way, portion of any sales of my merch gets donated to domestic violence shelter for men. There's only 2 in the entire United States, and I do my best to help them out as I can. But anyway, let's just jump in. Again, if you're first time coming in, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from. Even my returners, let us know where you're from, because I just think it's so cool. All right, let's jump in. Guys, if you have a question you want to ask me, or there is a topic you want to bring up, let me know. Just be aware. We got to be careful, because I know they are watching me right now. All right. Such and such. Building a camping and cabin area around a pond. Whereabouts in Jamaica, man? Yes, I would love to come visit you at some point. I do love Jamaica. So I've said this, I say this almost every week because I'll get somebody from Canada on. I love Canadians. I think they're the nicest people in the world, and that's no offense to anyone else. I'm an American, okay? I just love Canadians. They are the sweetest, most kindest people there are. But you know what? The people in Jamaica, you guys rock too, and I will say that. I've been, 5 times, I think. Loved it every time. Nosferatus Revenge, you are our hero. Well, thank you for saying that. I don't do what I do to be a hero. I do this to help people out, but thank you. Jacked Up, how you doing, bud? It's why I'm moving to Italy. European women are so different and supportive. Ooh, you say that, my friend. I wonder what our friends in Italy would say, because you know what? I hear from some in Europe that say the opposite. It's interesting, though, isn't it? Right? That's what I'm talking about. See, I got my reading glasses. Sorry. Let me put them down. I just find it interesting how different people in different countries think other countries are better, right? Common one you hear for guys all the time is and it also applies in the individual states in the States. My state or my country is the worst one for fathers. No, my friends, all of them are bad. There's very, 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 very few ones that I would say even are moderately supportive of fathers. So, Trippy's sending me lots of pretty things. Thank you, Trippy. Squirrely girl, Lindsay. So, a couple shout outs I'm going to give because they're my girls. All right. Trippy Hippie OG, you need to go follow her. She was on my podcast a month or so ago, give or take. Somewhere in there, Trippy, right? We had a blast on it and a lot of positive feedback, by the way, on that. She talked about what she deals with trying to speak out on behalf of men and all that. And Squirrely Girl 1988 is my girl, Lindsay. We are actually very good friends, full disclosure on that. We talk pretty much every day now, right, Linz? And she is amazing, and you need to follow her. All right. Alex from Romania. You know, I have seen a lot of Romanians jumping on lately, and I appreciate that. That's awesome. Not a country I've been to, so I can't say how awesome you are, but I think you guys are awesome for joining me. Thank you. Trip's got why men can't be listened to, even at home. Oh boy. We're starting to get into it, aren't we? Without picking a particular subject, I've been noticing in the past few days, I'm going to be very careful with what I say, that men are not being listened to. I have been speaking out quite a bit on a particular issue. If you follow me, you know what I'm talking about. And it's amazing how they are not hearing what I'm saying. And they meaning the people that don't agree with me. All right. It's not unique to women. It's not unique to men. I'm seeing both groups doing it. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. What do you guys think? Why? Let's answer that question as a group. Why men? Why do you think men can't be listened to even at home? I'd be curious what everyone thinks. Terry from Texas. What part of Texas, my friend? Curious. The state, Lynn's the state of confusion. And there's my Sean from Canada. I knew you'd show up, my buddy. Um, and there it is. You know what we said? Well, it took you guys longer than I thought it was going to be. Don't get Russell branded. Yeah, that was the topic I was not. I was kind of skirting around. I guess that's going to become a verb now. Russell branded, kind of like Bud Lighted is a verb now. Targeted in meaning the company is a verb now. Um, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait for you guys on that because I don't want to get banned. All right, I'm sure I'm on the hit list for sure. I did have a couple videos that got targeted last night, but I got them put right back up. I haven't talked about that much. So Tiger's from Italy. All right, your great respect. Thank you. Greetings from Italy. So Tiger, let us know, what do you think? Because I'm scrolling back up. Get Jacked Up is moving to Italy because he thinks women in Europe are so different and supportive. I'm curious what you think. Um, my impression is you're all awesome, but I'm curious on that. Um, Nafaradas from Germany. What part of Germany, my friend? Another my favorite. Oh, here we go again. So Black Rose is back to get my commentary on racism in American society. I've already talked about it. I'm not going to keep going back to it every week that you jump on and try and goad me into getting into it. So I have not blocked you. I'm not going to block you, but I'm not getting into that right now. Okay. Stephen, what's a controversial opinion that I have? I'll tell you one right now. I believe that men no longer have a presumption of innocence. And it's pretty damn controversial because I am getting slammed for saying that. Gregory, don't get Russell. But yeah, see, it's becoming a thing. Um, Terry, dated U.S. women for 10 years. Well, passport bro now. Okay, be dating my Filipina for over 3 years. Sorry, almost at 30. That's awesome. Congrats. Um, Such and such. I see you and I are in complete agreement. People are the same everywhere. My YouTubers, feel free to jump in. By the way, um, I know that I don't normally get as many on YouTube as I do on TikTok because, well, YouTube doesn't like to push me. Uh, to be blunt about it. Oh, Rhineland. Okay, I know where you are. Um, Not for us. All right. So, guys, let's throw out some topics. What do you want to talk about? You want to just kind of keep it light? We can do that. You want to jump into you know what? We can do that. Let's just keep it to the point where we don't get banned. Flight mode on. Welcome. I'm married to a Filipina. I've talked about this before. That I honestly believe the best marriage I've ever seen was a buddy of mine named Sean. He married a girl from the Philippines, 2011, 12, somewhere in there. They're the happiest couple I have ever seen. They are amazing together. I know they met through some sort of thing, not an arranged marriage, but that's kind of how they. It's not what a passport. He didn't live there. He lived in the States, and however, I forget how he did it, but I remember he went over there at least a dozen times, met her, did all that, and um, here they are 10 plus years later, and they're like two peas in a pod. They get along so well. It's amazing. And so, yeah, a lot of positives there. Such and such, thank you for the crane. I appreciate it. Um, just looking through, scrolling back up. Tom Scott, happy without drama. All right. Lane, heck yeah. Talk about the women who self harm and how it's so destructive. In what way do you want me to talk about it? Again, I got to be careful today. Um, you know, That's such a wide topic. I'm not sure where to go with it. So feel free to jump in and let me know a little bit more. Ask me what you want. All right. Um, your view how I don't blame myself. Still not understanding. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Michael Robinson asks, as a male nurse, how do I deal with my unfair female bosses? Ooh, good question. Let's see if some others of you jump in with that one. So, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a nurse. Don't know much about that part of it. Although I have trained nurses, I am a personal trainer, or was at this point. I still train, but it's mostly strength and conditioning that I train now. But I used to run a group in a hospital. The hospital had contracted me to go in and offer classes. I did like a boot camp in the hospital, so lots of nurses in there, and that's kind of my experience with them. I'm going to assume that it's probably not much different than guys deal with in the corporate world, which I'm far more familiar with, Michael. And I'm going to be honest with you, for the most part, and this is my personal experience, I've had female bosses. They were awesome. They were absolutely awesome. I can honestly say I never had a bad female boss. I can honestly say that. So my answer to you would be pretty much the same as I would say if you had a bad male boss, and I did have a couple of them, is you need to sit down and have a conversation with them and be honest. It's I know what you're kind of where you're going with it. Women react differently than men, but in my experience, and this is me personally saying this, whenever I've had an issue with either my boss or something in the company or whatever, and or a personal issue, right? When I was going through one of my divorces, way back, first divorce, I had a female boss for a while who was the most supportive person I could have had as far as the work culture goes. And because I would sit down with her and go, look, she hauled me into court again. I got it, because I was taking a ton of time off at the time. She was really cool about it. And I think, honestly, the reason why is because I was upfront and honest with her. Speak direct. They respect you when you do that. It's when you talk to women. Here we go. I'm skirting all the issues today. It not universal, but a lot of women hate having a female boss because the word that I hear more often is the cattiness between them. By the way, I've had female bosses say the same thing about their female subordinates. It's a different dynamic, women and women, men and men, men and women, right? So I would say my advice: sit down with your boss, whatever the issue might be. I don't know what unfair is, and be blunt about it. And honestly, if that doesn't work, you got to go up the ladder. Go to HR. I mean, I'm not a fan of that. I'll tell you that right now. I'd rather keep things in house, but sometimes you've got to. Someone, I don't know how to say your name because I believe that's Arabic. Can't you see my comments? That's the first comment I've seen of yours. Okay. Um, so hopefully I can see them. Tiger, I think the feminist subculture is toxic for the family and relationships. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Vicky from Croatia. Awesome. Vicky 2023. Oh, here we go. Michael, I usually get talked to about my tone. I'm like, that's just my male voice. Okay, and then I gave you bad advice. Sorry, my friend. Sounds like you got a sensitive one, and that is a very fair point that I've heard before, right? I've had women say to me, your tone, because I have a fairly deep voice, and I'm blunt. I what goes on in here comes out here. There's no nuance to it, right? So yeah, I've been where you are, and again, in a way, I would say you need to sit down and do what I said, have an honest conversation with them, and you need to be sitting there going, well, how? What I would do is ask them, what about my tone is the problem, right? How do you expect me to change my voice? What is it you're looking for? Things like that. I hear you. So yeah, my initial advice might not have been the best, but Science, why don't I go to the gum? I'm guessing you mean gym. What makes you think I don't? I used to own one. I actually just recently got rid of it. All right. Science again. They don't want just divorces, but women feel fear of gen and reduce populate. I'm not understanding that. Sorry, guys. Michael, thank you, by the way, for the tiny didn't. They got all these new ones all of a sudden. Flight mode, thank you for the lightning bolt. I appreciate it, guys. Scorpion, hello. So, yeah, jump in, introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from if you haven't already. And it's open today. I'm leaving it open. I don't have a particular topic that I want to talk about. To be honest with you, I thought you guys would be bringing a particular one up, and I'm not too upset that you didn't so far. All righty. If you'd like to hear more about our culture, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. My apologies. I don't speak Arabic. If you'd like to hear more about our culture and how the Western world is pushing us towards feminism, I'm guessing. Luan from Brazil. I haven't had anyone from Brazil in a while. It's on my hit list of countries that I want to go to. I'm not religious, but I want to go see that statue I think it's in Rio. Because it just looks amazing. I've seen it on TV. I remember when the Olympics were in Rio a few years ago, they were showing pictures of it. And it just, to me, that's something you have to experience, right, in life. I love things like that. That's kind of who I am. Zach is from Greece. The people who take the decisions of our laws in life, they want to reduce marriage. I'm guessing, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Trolley from Down Under. Nice. Jay from Plymouth, Great Britain, Plymouth, not Plymouth, Mass, right? Or where the Plymouth Rock is. For those of you, by the way, I was talking about that statue. Somebody help me with the name of the statue. Redeemer, is that it in Brazil? Because the thing's amazing. But have you ever been to Plymouth Rock? For those of you in the States or maybe from other countries, I remember, God, years ago. I had this picture of Plymouth Rock being this huge rock, right? And I remember going and seeing it finally. And I was an adult. This was years ago, but it's like this, I'll call it a pebble almost. I was so disappointed. It was like, you learn about it in history. They talk about it. I thought it was like this huge rock. I felt like, I probably could have picked it up based on the size. It was amazing. Yeah. There's one where you have this iconic place that you want to go to and you're severely disappointed. But I've had the opposite more often. So just interesting. Luan, you're in danger of never wanting to come back. It's an amazing country and warm people. I have met a few Brazilians in my time, and I agree with you. Amazing people. I probably wouldn't want to come back. I've heard such good things about Brazil. If you could help me out, what's the name of the statue? And I know I'm not giving it the right respect. Is it Redeemer or something like that? It's on my bucket list. That's one of the things I've got to do. And I don't know when I'll get there, but there it is. Redeemer Christ, Rio de Janeiro. Okay. Redentor Christ. Okay. So I guess Redentor means Redeemer in English, I'm guessing. Amazing to me on TV, when I remember I had just gotten a 4K TV, I don't know, when they first came out, whatever that was, a few years back. And they had these little slides that, to kind of illustrate the 4K. And one of them was that statue. And I'm like, wow. And it was up close. They kind of zoomed in. They must have used a drone or something like that. It was amazing. All right. Charlie, we have everything big down here. Pineapple, banana prawns. Kangaroos. I'm going to get slammed for this, but I've heard kangaroo is really delicious. Just saying. Christmas the Redeemer. Okay. Passport Bros OG. What's up, my guy? I am doing well. Christ okay. Christ the Redeemer. Is that? I think we settled on that, right? You can climb up to his shoulder and see the whole coast. See, now that's what we're talking about. I am science. I am fun. I repost your video. Awakened men, Greek, Italian women, difficult to talk. Okay, I am half Italian. All right, I'm an American, but half my family's from Italy, and they I have no problem talking. Sorry. I'm just kind of chuckling at all that. The problem they have is shutting up, my family. Yeah, so um, my quality is crystal clear. Well, thank you. That's a first. Normally, my internet struggles with it because I send it to different things. Trolley, it actually is very lean meat, the kangaroo. So, fun story about me. I guess we're kind of talking personal stuff today, and that's fine. Is back in the day when I was a bit younger, I'd eat anything. I would try anything. But I've never had kangaroo. I've had some really weird things. Um, from gator, which is not that weird anymore, to rattlesnake, all this stuff. So I don't do that too much often anymore, for no particular reason. Then at this point I've tried pretty much everything. I think horse I've had. You can slam me for it, but they have horse in Canada. Okay, um, delicious horse steak way back when. But anyway, so yeah, I would definitely try roux. All right. Um, Fowler, greetings from Deutschland. Deutschland Uber. I love Deutschland. The other half of my family is from Germany for the most part. So I'm German Italian. So, um, love Germany. Um, all right, science. Why women with social and are after 30 are difficult for relationship? Okay, you're trying to. Tonto, thank you for the rose. And also, I know I missed one there somewhere. That was a few of you. Um, Why are women after 30 difficult? I would argue they all are. And I mean that with love. Okay. Where'd Lindsay go? I need her back. Because she's my alter ego. She's the female side of me, I guess. Um, Thank you, Fowler. Um, Kangaroo tail is super healthy and actually reduces your cholesterol. I got to get me some roux. I'm gonna have to get it. I don't know how I could get it. I guarantee you it's not available in the States legally. Maybe not. I don't know. Um, I talked with my cousin. I want to ask you why the laws of divorces are all for women to win. Well, okay, let me kind of touch on that because you're asking some good points there, science. From Greece. The laws themselves actually don't favor women. That's a misnomer. I'm talking in the States. I can't, and I can pretty much say for the UK also. Other countries, I'm not exactly sure. But if you go read the actual laws, if you have never gone and if you're in the States, for example, go Google your state's matrimonial and divorce law and go read the actual statutes as the law was passed by the legislator. All right. You're going to find they don't favor men or women. They're very neutral. They have to be that way because otherwise the courts would toss the law. The issue isn't per se the way the laws are written, per se, okay? It's the way they're applied. That's the problem. And again, I know you're in Greece. I can't speak for Greece. I don't know. Maybe they are different there. And fair enough if they are. Fair point. I would be ignorant on that, okay? But honestly, the issue to me, the biggest issue is the way the courts implement it. Does that mean the laws don't need to change? No, they do need to change. Shared parenting should be the norm. I am a big advocate for that. Um, we talked 2 months ago about when Florida passed shared parenting. We talked about it on a live. It was getting implemented. I believe it actually officially goes into law soon, like October 1st or something like that. But I was also talking with someone from Kansas about, because the big issue against shared parenting, one of them is the DV issues. They think DV goes up. It doesn't. It actually shows it reduces significantly. And the other one they argue is that allegations of DV or false allegations go up. They actually are finding they go down because you're taking away the adversarial, right? So I talked about this on a podcast not too long ago, and I have one coming up where we really delve into it. The way the paradigm is now, you've got mom, dad, and the child's in the middle, and you're coming in from here, and it usually goes something like this, right? Mom gets all this time, dad gets this little time. Instead of starting in the middle and working out, where you try and keep it as equal as possible. This is adversarial. This is much less adversarial. And the ones that lose in this are the lawyers, which is why they're the ones that fight against it so much. Um, so yeah, good one. Hello from Wales. Love, love all these places that you guys are from. Luan, do you think women will eventually wake up from the I am the new God figure? Or yes, I do. I've talked about this before. Um, I honestly believe we're already starting to see the pendulum go back. We are seeing it. The issue, I think, is it's not going to go away anytime soon. I don't think it'll reverse in my lifetime. I'm 60 years old. Okay, do I think it will go back? I think the normal what happens is the pendulum swings far one way, it'll swing back too far the other way, but it'll find that equilibrium eventually. All right. If you look through societies, through all of human history, that's what happens. Swings, comes back to the thing, to the middle. So yes, I do think it will happen. I do think women are waking up. Um, I also think, by the way, you're talking a very small percentage of women are the ones that quote unquote you want to wake up. The majority of women are not like that. They're good people, just like we're good people. The majority of men are good people. Um, that said, the reason I think it's starting to switch is you're starting to see and hear more women speaking up and saying, "No, these radicals aren't speaking for me." These I had one last week who DM'd me, and the problem I have, and just so you guys know, if you DM me and I don't answer, it's not because I don't want to answer you. I get hundreds of messages a day. There's no way I can keep up with them. I was talking with, like I said, this woman. The only reason I saw it was sometimes when I go on TikTok to upload a video, I'll jump into my messages and read 5 or 10, and there's literally hundreds in there. And I happened to see hers, and she was like, "I'm so sick of the way these women are talking for me." And my point to her was, you got to speak up. Because I can talk till I'm blue in the face about it, doesn't mean squat, right? The ladies need to speak up. And I know Lindsay's on here and Trippy's on here. There's two examples of women that do speak up, okay? That speak out. And they can tell you far better than I what happens when they do. But to answer your question, Lon, yes, I do believe. I believe it's already starting to happen. That said, men are walking away. There is no doubt about it. And they're running away, not walking, and it's happening in droves. I talked about this on my podcast that's coming out. I believe it's this week or maybe the one after the week after that. I've recorded 8 podcasts in the last week and a half, so my voice is kind of shot. But either this week's or next, we were talking about how that's going and men walking away, and I think we're going to look back. Might take 5, 10, 15 years, somewhere in that time frame. I think we're going to look back and go, that's when men woke up. COVID. I truly believe that was a game changer for men in relationships or seeking relationships. Because one thing, to be blunt, is men, we go blinders, right? We want that awesome woman to live with, make our wife. We believe as much in the Disneyland relationship that women do. All right. Now, and I'm not talking about the pomp and circumstance, but a man and woman getting together for life, that type of thing, right? I think men actually believe that part of it more, right? Not so much the huge wedding or any of that, but men in general want to be with a woman. Women in general want to be with a man, right? Different approaches to it, but that's what I'm talking about. So, having said that, there's a lot, you'll hear a lot of women saying, "Oh, men are afraid to be alone." They're not afraid. They just didn't know that they could be. It's not a fear, it was lack of knowledge. I truly believe this, and I get some flack for saying this. COVID, most of us were locked down. We were trapped in our homes. I was trapped in this house for basically 2 months, right? My business was shut down. There was no reason for me to leave the house. I would go out for motorcycle rides, stuff like that, bike rides. The beaches where I live were closed. I'm not going to say I didn't go on them because I did. All right. But there was that time frame we were all locked down. And I remember that as as I look back now and I remember, I said, I remember talking to guys then and they were like, you know what? This ain't so bad. I can be alone. I don't need to be out in the world. And I'm making this very simplistic, but I think that's what was the turning point. Guys started realizing that, you know what? I have a pretty damn good life, home alone, playing video games. I don't play video games. Playing video games, watching TV, hanging out with my buds online, right? That kind of stuff. I do think that was a game changer. And I think that's, to go back to what you're saying, I think that's what's starting to change it, right? Just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. You might think I'm completely off base. Fair enough. I don't have a problem with it. Lindsay, I'll forever call Squirrely Girl 1988 Lindsay, because she's my bud. You are all difficult in your own ways. Yes, exactly. Male DV survivor in Canada, it's all for women, even abusive ones. Again, I would argue, my friends, I'm not disagreeing with you, and not in any way, but I would argue it's guys from any country will tell you that. But I'm talking about if you look at the actual laws. There may be exceptions. I don't know Canadian law exactly. And what little I do is way out of date. Mohammed said, keep spreading the word. I'm trying, as long as they will let me. It's amazing what I'm going through in the recent couple of weeks. So there's no question I am shadow banned. My views on every social media have plummeted. From tens and hundreds of thousands to, last I checked, the average was around 3,000 now. It used to be like 15,000. I got demonetized on Instagram. What little money I made on TikTok, I'm averaging this month about 30 to 50 cents a day. It's laughable. I'm laughing about it because, it's obvious what they're doing. But as long as I can, I will keep fighting. I will keep speaking. I do have other social medias. So, for example, those of you watching on YouTube, that's where I put the podcast and such. But I also put the podcast up on Spotify and some other places because any one of them could ban me at any moment, right? But I do have my TikToks. I have 2 of them. Men Need to Be Heard 3, which is the one you're watching if you're live on TikTok, and Men Need to Be Heard 2, TOO. Which, if you're not following me on there, you should follow me there, because that one I do a little different than what I do with 3. All right. So 3 is more educational, longer videos, talking about, relationships and that type of thing, longer stuff. 2 is primarily double standards that men go through, and they're primarily very short videos. I do a series on there called Did You Ever Notice?, where I will point out the double standards that men face in society, relationships, all that stuff. So if you're not following me there, check that one out. Instagram is Men Need to Be Heard, and there it's a mix of things. Sometimes I put some of the Did You Ever Notices there. I also put some of my longer videos there. And then Twitter, I know it's X, but I will forever call it Twitter. That I am Men Need to Be number 2 Heard. Men need to be heard. If you ain't following me there, you're missing out on a lot of stuff, because I can say things on Twitter that I can't say anywhere else, and I do. I have been. My new nickname should be Butter, because I'm on a roll when it comes to Twitter. I am catching so much flack on Twitter, but you know what? Some of these things do need to be said, and I feel comfortable saying them. Elon, whatever you think of him, he doesn't ban people. You got to cross the line. I mean, cross the line to get banned there. And I don't try and insult people or anything like that. But I can say things there. I'm more comfortable saying things there that I could not possibly say on, say, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I have a Facebook that's out there too, Men Need to Be Heard. I don't use it much. It's basically just link to Instagram and use that. So again, if you aren't following me on any of those, please do, because I do put different videos in different places sometimes. For example, I have videos on YouTube that are longer than used to be. TikTok was limited to 3, now it's 10, but I have videos going back that have never been on TikTok because they were too long. Some things I don't put on Instagram because reels are limited to a minute and a half. So it might only be on, say, TikTok or YouTube. All right. That type of thing. So you might be missing out on things. The other thing to let you know about, and this is a shameless plug, tell you right up front, is I do have a Patreon. That Patreon is a private group. I do put things in there that don't show up anywhere else also. So there's 3 different levels on the Patreon. I might as well shamelessly plug it since I'm here. You can, for $1 a month, you can just go there and you're basically supporting me. You're giving me the ability to do what I do, right? I do have to, I have to pay for example, the recording software on the podcast. I have to pay for different things. You can help support me to do that because I spend some money on this stuff. If you want to help me and just, it's $1 a month, you can do that, all right? You can also subscribe under the Brotherhood of Men and Men Matter. So there's 2 other levels. The basic one's $1. You're just helping support me. You'll see some of the posts that I put up there, right? The $5 gets you not only those posts, but also access to my monthly private meeting. And then the Brotherhood of Men is that and a little bit more. All the details are on Patreon if you want to go check it out. But one of the things just to mention, because we just had one a couple of weeks ago, I do a monthly private meeting that is subscriber only. It is invite only. It is done on Zoom. We can talk about anything on there. We've talked about guys literally going through domestic violence and us helping him out. We've talked about family court issues. We've talked about issues that we're all facing. It's, it's open every month. It's kind of like a bunch of buds getting together, chit-chatting and shooting the shit. But the beauty of it is, and the reason I do it the way I do it, is it's done on Zoom. There is no recording. There will never be a recording of that. So whatever we say cannot be subpoenaed by a lawyer. So one of the things that I know a lot of people do, and I'm not knocking them, but they'll hold Facebook groups for men. Facebook groups can be subpoenaed. Okay? Those type of things. I know there's been Quora groups and other ones. If it's written down or if it's somewhere where there's a meeting that's, kept on the servers, it can be subpoenaed. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but when we were talking about the domestic violence, he's telling us everything that he's dealing with, and it's all an active case, legal case, right? And he's looking for advice. What should he do? That kind of stuff. Not that we give legal advice, but we were helping him get help. You don't have that fear of it. Oh God, the ex's attorney is going to find out what I said and use it against me in court. It has happened in private Facebook groups. I'm just saying. If you're interested, go to Patreon, check it out. It's Men Need to Be Heard. All right, enough shilling for me. Let's talk about you. All right, let me scroll. I'm way behind. See, so Muhammad said, I don't think it's about social media. You're referring to what I was talking about. I think so. By the way, Muhammad, I'm going to agree and disagree with you, by the way. I do think, because you're talking in relationship to if social media disappeared with Facebook, Instagram, will women become better? I don't want to cage it as women. I think we would all become better, men and women. Social media there's a lot of positives, right? I talked about it in the beginning of this, is we got people from literally all over the world in here right now, all right? Chatting, getting to know one another. That's awesome. There's also, we all know the negativity, right? I mean, I'm looking at my phone right now, and I was called Gary Glitter lookalike. You live in a country where children can be married off. Think of them. Well, I don't know what country they think I live in, but, Gary Glitter, I know what they're referring to with that. I'm not going to get into it, but that's the negative side of it. I'm kind of chuckling about it as I'm writing that. But I think society would be better, if I may be honest, for the most part, without the social medias to a point. I think they have a use. I always go back to, remember when Facebook first came out and started hitting, like 2007, 8, 9, 10, in that area? It was awesome then. I reconnected with friends. It was when people were, sharing what they ate for dinner, all the things people get slammed for doing now. Here's what I'm doing. To me, that was awesome, right? Because then I could say, oh, geez, my buddy John, he went and did this today. You know what? Cool. Let me chat with him about it or something like that. It morphed out of that. It became, all of them are very political. And I say that being someone who speaks out on men's issues. That's the negative to it. So I think we would all, not just women, but men, all of us would be better with less social media. Maybe not spending the 4 to 6 hours a day that most people are spending on it. So that's saying that, going back to what Muhammad said, I don't think it is just social media. I agree with you there, but I do think it plays a role. That's kind of what I'm going at. Mayana Heartstealer. That would be like a good Dungeons and Dragons name. Can I steal that? No, I wouldn't. I was Evro the Happy Elf back in the day. I haven't played D&D in probably 15 years, but yes, I was Evro the Elf. I was a half human, half elf. I forget what level I got to, but I had been playing for 20-something years at that point. So how can it all be changed? You got 3 hours? In a nutshell, we need to start communicating. And I'll use my friend Squirrely Girl here, right? Her and I talk. We bounce things off each other. We support one another. And we're friends. Nothing more than friends. That's all we will ever be. And she'll tell you the same thing. But as a man and a woman communicating and chatting and getting to see other sides of it, Lindsay's not shy about saying to me, maybe you should think about this. I have other friends from TikTok that do the same, right? That's how we get together. We have to get the animosity, and Lord knows I've thrown my share of shit this week. I'm not going to hide it, right? I am, to be blunt, I'm pretty fearful for where we are right now as far as the presumption of guilt for men. We're there, all right? Presumption of innocence, that's gone. That's gone. So, I've been talking about that, and I've been catching a lot of crap, and people aren't listening to me. They think that I'm supporting you-know-who and that I'm defending what he did. I am not. What I am saying is, can we wait for an investigation? That's it. Can we not vilify someone until they've been proven guilty? Then throw the book at them, right? But my point behind that is the communication's not there. I literally say that and they hear something completely different. The other thing, Mayana, I would say is, again, it kind of goes back to what Muhammad said about the social media, face-to-face. We need more of that. So Muhammad's from Algeria. I think you've been on before. I know you have, in fact. I have no idea how to say your name, but you Bah. I think you're just using random letters. Women that spend stable life in their home countries when moved to North America get hard to deal with? Yes, ? I cannot answer that because I've never had that. As far as a relationship goes, every relationship. No, I can't say that. I did date a girl from Poland. We had awesome, not really a relationship. We were just casually dating way back when. Katarzyna was her name. But my experience, non-relationship wise, I would say it's the opposite. My personal experience, I think they're more open, if I may say. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way in any way. I'm just saying my experience. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? That's a great question. You got me thinking on that one, actually. Cressy, hey, mate, how are you? I am fan-freaking-tastic. Okay, here we go. In my country, the women get the kids till they're 7, but after that, the kid goes to dad. May I ask what country? That's a new one for me. I haven't seen that one. Why 7? I'm curious on this, and you've got my interest. What country is that, if I may ask? And that's an interesting. I wonder why 7. Because they're younger. I don't know. All right, Luana, I agree. Most women are good as men. Social media. Yes, exactly. That was my point. Thank you for backing me up. It's great minds, right? Science. Men don't marry for money or children, but for the company of a woman we love unconditionally. That's very true. I agree with you there. It's why rich men marry waitresses, right? They want the right person. They don't always pick the right person, but they want the right person. Luan, being a podcast with you should be an amazing conversation. Well, go check out my podcast. There's almost 30 of them up at this point. I've got, in fact, I was editing what will be number 34 today. Check that podcast out and support it. Do me a favor, like it, share it, tell people about it, because YouTube's not pushing it. Spotify's not pushing it. I'm never going to get on the front page of YouTube or Spotify. I know I'm not. But if you listen to it and go help it, you're also helping me and you're helping everyone. So, and Lindsay, Squirrely Girl, she was my very first guest way back when. And I know I've got to get her and Michelle and Tammy and a few others on at some point. But that podcast, just to kind of talk about it briefly, thank you for asking, it talks about issues men and boys are going through. So just to kind of give you some recent examples. Last week's, the one that went up Sunday, I had David Pizarro, who's a divorce attorney on. I consider him a friend now. We live on opposite sides of the country. He is a gay man. I am a straight man. For whatever reason, we're like two different polar opposites in our lives, right? He's a lawyer. I'm not, if you catch my drift. We get along famously. I consider him a good friend. I really do. We had an amazing podcast, and we were talking specifically about custody. And David's one of the good divorce attorneys. He is no BS. He tells it like it is. And, it's refreshing to have that and have that person that can do that, right? So go check that one out. A gentleman that I have on this week is talking about, he's with the Global Initiative for Boys and Men, and he's talking about what they're trying to do to raise awareness of the issues. And we talked about 6 specific issues, fatherlessness being one of them. I'm going to give the whole list. If you want to understand these issues better, that's a podcast you want to listen to. And we also talk about what you guys can do to help yourselves out, but all men out. A couple weeks ago, I had Jim on. Jim is going through a horrific divorce. Hasn't seen his kids in years. We talked about what men go through with that. So it's a wide range of things. I've done domestic violence in the past. I've done just going into family court in general in the past. The issues are the issues that men and boys face. And if there's an issue I haven't covered and you want me to, let me know, right? Because that's what that podcast is for. It is not woman bashing. It is not really anti-feminist. Like I said, I've had Squirrely Girl on, I had Trippy on, and they talked about their experience speaking out for men, what they go through. It's sharing stories and sharing educational things to help men and boys out. And the truth of the matter is, if we help men and boys out, we're helping women out too. So that's what that podcast is about. And I got a lot of good stuff. The good news, I'm not trying to promote myself this way, but I'm starting to get known in certain circles. And I call them my big whales, my gets, the ones I really want to get on. I'm starting to make those connections to get some of the big fish in the men's movement on. I don't want to drop names, but trust me, if I can get 1 or 2 of them, oh boy, because they are amazing people. Sean's talking about women are speaking up because feminism is changing the definition of woman. Yeah, I think that's another turning point we're seeing. I think that is going to be interesting to see what happens with that over the next few years. Sorry, had a good drink there. Darren, I've been alone for 20 years. And how are you doing with it, right? Most guys I know that have been alone for a number of years are happier than pigs in you-know-what. Ronaldo, I broke up in 2017. Mom died. Been alone ever since. Till October 2023 is coming up. So maybe 2022 as you meant. Xander, I agree. Women are done. They made their bed and are more than happy being alone. See, that's what's happening. It's funny. You'll see the videos primarily on TikTok. Every once in a while I see them on Instagram. Haven't seen it too much on YouTube Shorts, and again, I don't spend a ton of time on those, but I am seeing more and more women saying, where all the men go. That's the one. But I also still see the ones going, oh, men are so sad being alone. They can't live alone. They need their mommies and all that. And I think those women have missed the boat, because they tend to fall back to 1 or 2 studies, which are ancient, first of all. And easily torn apart because one of the studies that they refer to, they asked women what men were going through, not men, okay? That study's useless. But anyway, the point being that they believe these studies and they think that men are sitting home crying every night alone when in fact there are some. There absolutely are some. There is loneliness out there, but it's not like they think it is. And I hate to break it to you, ladies, we can do laundry. We can cook our own food. It's amazing what we can manage to do. Our houses are clean. It may not be done the way you want, but if the laundry's done, does it really matter whether I always joke, do you put it in one way or put it in another? Do you fold the towels one way or fold them another? Who gives a crap? Why is that so important? And as I recently said to one woman who was talking to me about it, and says her daughter-in-law gives her son hell about the way he folds the clothes. And I said to her, and who taught him how to fold those clothes? She goes, I did. I said, so your daughter-in-law is telling you don't know how to fold clothes. And she just paused and looked at me, just saying. All right. But yeah, I think women need to wake up a little bit. I think some are, to be honest, and I'm not trying to knock women with that. Some are realizing, holy crap, right? But others legitimately think we are incapable of feeding ourselves. Like, legitimately believe that. It blows my mind. Rich don't want children and divorces but home alone, reduced population. That would go really good on my radio show that I do. Sweet Lou, I agree. Living alone, there's no stress. You're in control of your life and happiness. Thank you for sharing that, Sweet Lou. That is exactly what men tell me, pretty much verbatim, many times, by the thousands. And I say to these women, because they'll come at me going, you're all lonely and sad and blah, blah, blah. I can't. And I go, do you read the comments on my videos? Because I'm talking hundreds of thousands at this point of men saying that. Are there a few that are probably saying it that isn't true? Sure. But not that many, right? It's something that I think, again, we were talking earlier about, is the pendulum swinging? I think it is. And I think that's going to be a driver, is women are starting to realize men don't need them. We really don't need you, ladies. I'm sorry to say. You all say that you don't need us. That's true to a point. Guess what? We don't need you either. That's not a good thing, by the way. We do need each other. We need to be in healthy relationships. What that is at this point, I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. Science, if social media disappear in Disney cartoon, will women become wife material again? Again, I would argue that most women are wife material. This is the thing I want to caution you guys on, all right? We all tend to focus, and this is both men and women, on the bad percentages, right? Perfect example. Women think that all men are, going to do things to them. It's 0.2% of men that are violent and do things like that, all right? That means 99.8% of men are good. I make the same argument about women. Now, I'm going to change that number slightly. There are the rabid, feminists. There are the rabid masculinists, if you will, all right? They make up, I put it somewhere about 10-15%. So let's use feminists just for the sake of argument, because we're guys talking. That means 85% of women are really awesome, really good, are wife material. I do believe that. I know it's probably blowing your mind to hear me say that, but I do believe that. Here's the problem for guys right now. We don't know who they are because we can't tell. Number one. Number two, it's not uncommon that we find one, we marry her, and then the 15% start jumping on her, that are her friends, family, whatever, telling her, oh, no, your marriage sucks, blah, 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 and literally convince her that her husband's bad. I see that so many times, and I'm working on a podcast where I'm going to have a couple of women on who divorced their husbands and regret it, and talk about that exact scenario where one of them and I, we had a chat, and she said to me, she goes, it was 7 years ago. I was so convinced he was a crappy husband. My friends had gotten in my brain. I listened to them. I believed it. They convinced me the single life was awesome and there was way better guys out there. 7 years later, he's in a very happy marriage and I'm miserable and alone. Her words, not mine. I hear that a lot. The grass is not always greener on the other side. So hopefully we can work that out and get them on the podcast, because I think it would be eye-opening for a lot of people. Jepster, what's my favorite social platform for viewing? I'll be honest, it's YouTube. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos, but not like men's issues or stuff like that. History, cooking, of all things. I love. Alton Brown used to do Good Eats, one of my favorite all-time shows. He's got a YouTube channel. I watch that when he puts stuff up. The Armchair Historian is someone that I follow. Trying to think of some other ones that I do. More long-form show-type content. Things that you might have thought would have been on cable TV years ago. You're starting to see that on YouTube more and more. That's easily my favorite because that's where I spend the most time. I spend very little time on TikTok and Insta watching videos. So I just want to scroll back and give shout outs to the people that sent me various things. Michael sent me the tiny Dinny. Dexter sent me the heart. I have no idea how to say your name. I apologize. Another heart, and N sent me the golden trumpet. I appreciate it. Thank you all. But yeah, so to answer your question on the specific ones, again, if push came to shove, YouTube, and honestly, I don't watch a lot of live, like TV at all, other than sports. And even that, I've gone way back on what I do. All right, let me kind of catch up on the messages. Where are we at time-wise? Oh, we got some time still. Guys, if you have questions you want to ask me, or if there's topics you want to talk about, let me know. RP John, hey, bud, how are you doing? I found that I'm initially alone. There's an adjustment period where it bothers me, but then I enjoy it. Amen. That's what most guys are finding out. The thing that I think both men and women need to realize is that, and this is a reality, men cope with being alone much better than women do. Women are much more social. It's almost, and it is, the truth of the matter is, it's in our DNA. Men are more programmed to be alone or smaller groups. Women tend to be larger groups. It's literally in our DNA. All right, it's how we evolved as a species, and that's a good thing, by the way. So this misnomer that men can't be alone, men went out and hunted, and they were on their own sometimes, right? You go out, you talk about in the U.S., people that were the settlers of the West. Generally, it was a family moving. They were in groups, but they would have their homestead. Mom took care of the house and the kids. Dad was farming and hunting. If he's farming and hunting, he's alone. Mom's around a group. I'm very simplifying that, but you catch my drift. So I think men need to realize it in the sense that it will enable them to avoid negative relationships or jumping into relationships because they feel lonely. Take some time, sit back, enjoy life. Find something you like to do. Make some friends. I was fortunate a couple months ago, I made a new friend. He reached out to me through Instagram because he was watching my videos. He didn't realize I was local to him. I said, and I actually knew him, or knew of him. I said, dude, I live a couple miles from you. We went and had lunch one day, got to know each other, and I consider him a real good bud now. And we're just going to get better. Make yourself available to other guys, right? And learn that, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Guys tend to isolate. It can be a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing. All right. Rich, how do I walk away from my narcissistic wife? I feel trapped. Well, my friend, I can't really answer that here in the sense that that's what I do on with my Patreon guys. But in a nutshell, I will say this: make a plan. The number one thing that guys don't do that women do. There it is, guys. I know you like it when I say do. Women plan. They are masters at it. Ask any divorce lawyer. They will plot for 6 to 12 months ahead of time. David talked about it on the podcast Sunday. Go watch that. All right. Women are masters at planning a divorce. Men, clueless. Being honest, okay? absolutely clueless. Something that we've talked about on my private groups is I've had similar question to yours, Rich, where the guys will, some of these groups are not that big. Sometimes it's only a couple of us on there, but we have that exact conversation and we talk for an hour about it. Is you need to make a plan, bud. What is your plan going to be? I don't have all the answers, but some of the other guys will jump in on that. That's how we help each other out. But first step, make a plan. What is it that you need to get done to be able to walk away? Because it's different for everybody. There's no right or wrong here, okay? And once you make the decision and have that plan, you need to go talk to a lawyer. I'm telling you. Because guess what? Odds are she already is. Just saying. I should know better 99. By the way, it's one of my favorite Beatles songs. I should have known better. YouTube demonetized Brand's account but left his content. Yes. So I was waiting for you guys to bring this up. All right. Hour in before you did, really. Yeah, that's it. That whole scenario is a nightmare, but to address your specific thing, it's awful fishy to me. Why would they demonetize him but leave his account and his content up? Well, I'll tell you the reason why, because they're making money on it now. So last I knew, he had 5-6 million followers. So YouTube is still going to make money by running ads on his account. You better believe his viewership has skyrocketed, right? People that are out to get him and people that are supportive of him. I'm neither, by the way. So that you better believe the views on his account right now, his channel, have blown up. So YouTube is making bank on his channel. So they demonetize him so they can put it all in their pockets. I ain't stupid. I know what they're doing. They found a way to justify it because in their terms of service, something you do outside can get you demonetized. That's the card they played. And now they get to keep all that money. Kind of like, I don't know, Instagram's doing to me, all right? They demonetize me, but they have not removed any of my videos. So they're making bank on me. That's it. It would be interesting because I know there's been some talk about a lawsuit on that. So if my content and I own it, but you're making money on it, hello, copyright law. That would be interesting. I do want to reach out to some politicians about they should pass a law on that, right? Anyway, Apple user, how do you feel about watching this video live? Made me positive. Watch out, buddy. They are trying. Oh, okay. Yeah, they probably are. Thank you for the positive, though. I know damn well they're watching me. Rich, okay, so I should know better. Rich, careful, make an X plan. Exactly what I said. Dexter, you're from Jamaica also. You're my second Jamaican today. Love Jamaica, as I mentioned earlier. Rich, again, RP John, Rich, talk to an attorney. That's my point. You guys, see? You guys, you just got a little taste of what we do in my private group, except we get in far more depth. Better 99 again. Ignore the haters. You're actually balanced in your views. I try to be. There are times I have not been balanced this week. I'm going to be blunt about it. Because my issue, I'm going to go there a little bit. Look, because I honestly thought you guys would blow me up on the that whole scenario with him, with Russell. I am neither supportive or against Russell. All right, I have no idea, nor does anyone, whether he did what they said he did or whether he didn't. I'm not going to condemn him, but I'm not going to support him. We don't know. I know all the red flags that are out there about what's going on, both sides of it. I've heard it all. No one knows. It's all conjecture. My fear with this thing has nothing to do with him personally, because I don't give two craps about him personally. I care about what, if it's a false allegation, I sure as hell care about it. If he's actually guilty of it, I sure as hell care about it. I will be the first to condemn him, all right? But what I see happening, and it's happening to me as I'm speaking about it, is this presumption he is guilty is festering out there and exploding, all right, on all the social medias. The presumption of innocence for men no longer exists. Now, I've had guys say to me it hasn't existed in a while. I don't disagree with you. You're right. But this is really showing it. And I think people are waking up to it, all right? Men in particular. You have to assume that they assume you're guilty. And you are just as likely as he is to get blamed. The thing I talk about is the reason I'm using this as a means to speak out is not because I support Russell Brand. It's because I support the men who have gone to family court and faced allegations, who have worked in a corporation and were fighting with a woman to get a promotion, and it was her and him, and she made an allegation against him so she could get the promotion. And yes, I investigated that case along with HR. I was the IT director, okay? And we found out it was a false allegation. Those are the guys I'm fighting for. What happens to Brand, I don't really care that much right now, in the sense that we don't know. I'll care once we definitively know one way or the other. But we need to speak up as men and go, you know what? We should be assumed innocent. This whole believe all women thing is destroying us. That's all I'm going to say on it, because I know damn well I'm going to probably get in trouble for just saying that. All right, let me scroll back, because you guys are bombing me. I love it. All right. Greetings from bad old Germany. There's nothing bad about, I know what you're referring to possibly, but Germany's not bad. Germany's awesome. I have to say that too, because half my family's from there. So again, it's kind of open chat if you're just jumping in. Chat about whatever. We're kind of going all over the place today. Okay, Mayana said from Nigeria, the kids need discipline from those ages more than nurturing. So Nigeria, based on what you said earlier, is custody goes to the moms till 7, and then after that goes to the dads, and that's the law, or is that the way they interpret the law? That's news to me. I did not know that. So you got me kind of mulling that over in my brain. I don't think I like that. I think both parents need to be involved at every age. I just do. It should be as close to 50-50 as you can get. I'm just going to go with that. Big Al, being single, peace, quiet, time with the kids. Yeah, exactly. That's what most guys find out. They really do. Ladies, if you're listening, the number one thing, hands down, even if they don't tell you that men seek is peace in a relationship. The minute you take that peace away, your relationship's effed. Just saying. And peace, by the way, is different for every guy, what he wants from it. Big Al, is podcast on YouTube? Yes, it is. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, a few other places, but YouTube's the big one. So watch it there. For no other reason. It is video also on Spotify. All the other ones, it's audio. I don't know why Apple doesn't give. I don't know if they give anybody the option to do video. Does Apple? I don't know. I'm not an Apple person. But everywhere else, it's audio. If you want the video, it is YouTube and Spotify. And why not? Hello. When you're this pretty, why would you not want to look? Come on. All right. Henry Cabot, how would you define toxic feminism? All right, good question. So, again, I've talked about this before. Back in the 70s, feminism was awesome. I actually support it. I still do. It had all the right goals. Toxic feminism is, in my definition, is when instead of seeking equality, it seeks superiority. All right? When it's about hating men. And I've been guided to that by a friend of mine. I talk about her often. It was my best friend, who is a feminist, rabid feminist from the 70s, and despises what has been going on in the last roughly 10 years, she says. I think it goes longer. We've had that debate. I think it goes back to the 80s and 90s. Her opinion is 10. But again, we're friends, right? We have these debates. Toxic feminism is hatred of men. That's her definition. Well, no, let me rephrase that. She now says feminism itself is hatred of men. That's her opinion, not mine. I would say toxic feminism is when it's not about equality, it's about superiority. It's about, it's the ones that go around saying, I don't need men. We don't need men. Let's get rid of them. That type of thing. That's toxic feminism to me. Let me kind of scroll through. Okay. So not looking for equality, but rather, so, great minds, right? Too many studies are just woman-splaining to men. I've talked about studies before too. So I have some knowledge on this, by the way. Hold on, I need a quick drink. Check out my cool mug. You can get one if you want. Go to my bio. A portion of it goes to domestic violence victims that are male. So here's the thing on studies, guys. And I have a lot of knowledge on this, believe it or not. So there are some very good studies out there. You want to look for double-blind, peer-reviewed studies for most things. It doesn't apply to everything, okay? And that would apply to things like, remember, I am a nutritionist. I am also a strength and conditioning coach, powerlifting trainer. I look at studies like they'll come out. Remember the egg one from 20-odd years ago? Eggs were going to kill you if you ate them. God help you. And there was a peer-reviewed study. It was basically what's known in the vernacular now as settled science. Is that settled science still the same? Nope. And I knew then that that study was so flawed it was ridiculous. Remember, there are double-blind, peer-reviewed studies that say cigarette smoking is healthy. Here's what studies are. Studies are going to come to the conclusion that the person funding it or paying for it wants you to find. That's my belief, the majority of them. And that's even within science, hard science, right? Again, nutrition stuff, for example. People will throw at me that, keto is the greatest diet ever. All right? I've read the studies. I know this stuff. It's a disaster for most people. It's not healthy. I know I'm going to catch a ton of flack for that. Sorry, but when you've got 40 years of nutrition experience, you can talk to me, all right? But again, there are studies that support that. So that's science, right? Nutrition is science. Then there's social science, which is the stuff you're talking about. That's a load of crap. Most of those studies are useless. And the most common one I talk about is, remember back, well, I'm older, so I shouldn't say that. Those of you who were my age or slightly younger, remember back in the 90s, the whole all women are victims of domestic violence and no man has ever been a victim and all that, and they had the studies for it, right? Well, someone decided to do a study of male victims. That study did get funding, and they started finding the truth, which is roughly half the time, half the victims are male. So it's about 50-50, right? That study got shut down and the funding pulled because it wasn't finding what they wanted it to find. Lo and behold, that is the factual data, right? When you actually go looking at it. But that's an example of why studies are useless. I think it was Mark Twain said, there's statistics, there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. Statistics, studies. I would put studies with that. All right. But great point that you made there, Dale. I just grabbed my towels into the closet unfolded. Put away, right? That's my viewpoint. I have my way of folding them. And I've been single now for about 6 years doing my thing on my own terms. Best thing for me, see? Speed and strength coach with his little emoji. We're probably buds. I'm a strength and not speed coach. I'm a power lifter. I played football at many levels, and yeah, I was in the fives for my 40 time. That's why I didn't make the NFL or Division I in college. All right. Lebanese. I believe that each side should push the limit of the other side to learn more about each other. Ooh. I kind of agree with it. I don't know about pushing to the limit. I would say push each other to be better. I don't know about limit. I get what you're meaning with that, but you don't want to. That could be a negative to that. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, right? We want to push each other to learn more about each other. I love that part of it. All right, Eric, I was married for 34 years. My peace now is worth it. Ooh. Reaper, I'm done with relationships. Yep. Trippy's jumping in. Kind of disappeared on me there for a minute, Trip. Nambian. Oh wow. Hey Fosty, nice to. I think you're my first Nambian. Welcome. Guys, I got about 10 more minutes. Mystic said, "Hey, what's up? How you doing, bud?" Another from Jamaica. Jamaica's in the house today. This is third or fourth from Jamaica. I think you guys all need to invite me down. I'll come stay with you guys for a week. I love Jamaica. I do. I don't know. Does Southwest fly there? Because I have a ton of points on Southwest. Cece from Ireland, another place I want to get to. Katora, I agree with you. Sheep Shearer, another good name. Why are there so many narcissistic women, please? Again, I've talked about this. I get your point, but the majority of women are not that way. The reason you think that the majority are, why there are so many, is they're feeding off each other on social medias, and they're the ones that are vocal. And you could make the same argument, by the way, that there's guys that do that. Although I don't think I'm narcissistic. I haven't been diagnosed, I can say that. But yeah, keep in mind, guys, when we're looking at social media, you're seeing what social media thinks you want to see, right? So I get tons of feminists because I speak about these issues that men deal with. So feminism is part of it. So that feeds me those rabid feminists. If I actually thought, well, I could see how I could think that all women are like that when they're not. That's why I have the Trippies, the Michelles, the Tammys, Lindsay, and all them. They kind of keep my head on straight that they're the norm, not the crazies. Katora, I support your content. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. I really do. I dated a woman who was a man's advocate. It was a pleasant change until she showed her true self. Maniac. Okay. Yeah. It's funny. I had this conversation on an upcoming podcast. We filmed it this week. It'll come out in a little bit. We were talking about, my belief is leopards don't change their spots. What you see in a woman and a man, when you see the real them and they say down the road they're going to change, they're not going to change. Can people change? Yes, they can. But the majority of people don't. What you see is what you get. And it's why when I talk with guys, like guys will reach out to me about relationships. What should I do and that kind of stuff. I did a video, it was actually a podcast probably 2 months ago where I said the 5 new rules for men for dating in 2023. I actually got a follow-up coming on that. But a few things, but the number one I would say is stop rushing into things. You should not get married until you've known her at least a year. Minimum, absolute minimum. I would push it to 18 to 24 months. You need to go through an entire year of holidays to see how she reacts. Because what happens at Christmas, she goes, well, we're spending time with my family and F your family. Because I had that. Had I known that, I would not have married my first wife. But I didn't know that because I rushed into the relationship. All right? That type of thing. Take your time. Slow the F down. That's their number one thing. Go check that video out. It's in my podcast. Cheers, Eskimi. I love what. Okay, thank you. Katora, men are going to be victims. I talk about that a lot. Lots of things. Carlos, English is my second language. Could someone please tell me what's FA? Since I speak English. FA. Father's advocate, maybe? What context? Because there's a lot of FAs I could go with. Free agent. Dit Films TV. As a filmmaker, I'm learning a lot from conversations. Working on documentaries and commercials. Bro, we need to chat. So a couple things that I am working on. I'm not going to give too many details, but I have a few people that are interested in doing documentaries, or either a documentary talking about what men and fathers go through. For example, something like if you have what the red pill is, that, but more from what guys are going through, the mental and all that. We've also talked about, we're kind of in the very beginning stages of doing something like, how Netflix has their limited series that might be 8 episodes, where we take a particular topic and really break it down. So, for example, we might do a show on parental alienation. We might do a show on what fathers go through in family court. A show on men's mental health issues. a show. I mean, we nailed like 10 of them right off the bat. But come at it from, we get two, three guys or stepmoms. We're talking about that one too. What stepmoms go through. Come in and share their story on an episode and then have experts to talk about because I have connections with some experts. So it might be, for example, we're going to talk about what is it like for men in family court. All right, well, you want to have a couple guys talking about their experience. I would venture we need to have a woman talk about her experience. Then a lawyer or two talking about their experience. Go find a guardian ad litem, their experience, that type of stuff. I don't want it to be just about pushing men's rights, but raising awareness of all of what men go through. That was my viewpoint on it. So, Dit Films, email me if you want. Men need to be heard at gmail.com. Let's chat because I don't know if you could help me out with that or the people that I'm working with. Kev, is that my bedroom? No, it is not. It is my guest bedroom. That bed was put up when my kids and grandchildren, and I just haven't taken it down. Normally this is my man cave normally. So normally there's a love seat there. This bed is, I take it up, put it down when I have guests. And yes, it's been 4 weeks now. I just haven't done it yet. But this is not my bedroom. No, this is my man cave. And actually, I am in the process of doing an addition on my house. And all of this that you don't see that's in front of me will be moving out there. So you'll have a different view soon. And I may just not take the bed down because I do want to turn this back into a bedroom, guest bedroom. I live in a beach resort. I have people that come and stay with me all the time. They don't pay for a hotel. By the way, I hope my kids aren't listening right now. If you go to someone's house and stay with them for a week, pick up the grocery bill once in a while. I'm laughing because my daughter, son-in-law, and two grandchildren came down. Now, on an average week, my grocery bill is $80 to $100 max. I spent over $1,000 in 3 weeks. They could have helped out a little bit. I know. Granddad's got to do what he's got to do. But yeah, just if you go to someone's house, buy them dinner, take them out to dinner or something like that. But good question. See, good question. Fausti, I'm trying to catch up on the things here. Moving together, that helped. Yeah, my Dit Films, I see your thing. Yeah, I will probably lose that. Do me a favor, email me, friend, because I get so many things. I will blank. I'll tell you right now. Email me and we chat. Let me kind of scroll in there. He might have understood FA instead of thank you, Darren. SA is assault. Can't say the word. I'll get banned. We're not allowed to. Black Rose, is there a lot of racism in the red pill community? No, there's not. It's the exact opposite. I will tell you right now. Of all the fathers' rights groups I've been affiliated with, of all the men's issues, people that I am in contact with, black, brown, white, red, whatever color you want to do, whatever race you want to do, racism doesn't exist. I'm sorry. I know you're not going to believe that, most people. Men bond based on their experiences. So, like, for example, perfect example to answer your question. When I ran the men's domestic violence group, this is 20 odd years ago, I had every race represented at one time or another. I had people from different countries. It was mostly Americans, probably 90%, but we had people from different countries. There was zero racism in that group. It was bonding, if anything. It was the exact opposite of racism in that group. It is. Men going through traumatic things, color is irrelevant, race is irrelevant. People want to introduce that in to disrupt it. And that's what I think some people are trying to do. I'm just going to leave it at that. So Carlos said, somebody, I'm a victim of FA. It's SA, I believe. Yes. So it's assault, if you catch my drift. Saxophone assaults. Does that help? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, guys, I have about 1 minute left, so I'm just going to scroll quick because I know I've missed it. first of all, I apologize if I missed you things and didn't shout out or anything like that. But I do have to move on because I do have other things to do. For those of you that gave me various gifts, chili peppers and all that, thank you. I appreciate it. Right. Along those lines, guys, if you do want to support me, I don't make a lot of money doing this. In fact, I make next to none. But I do have some expenses, and I'm not saying this, I'm not crying poor or anything like that, but like the software that's running right now, I have to pay for that every month and all that. If you want to help me out, you can go to my profile and do the buy me a cup of coffee. I'd appreciate it. If you want to help me out by going to the Patreon and doing the $1 a month, great. I'd appreciate it. If you want to become a subscriber, I have subscribers on Instagram. I have my Patreon too, and that's it, right? TikTok, I don't think I have any subscribers, but I appreciate all that, and it does help me out, all right? Because I'm trying to do this kind of work. I would like to move this into more of a full-time gig because now I have the time. I know I spend 30 to 40 hours a week doing this, but at some point I gotta go. I can't spend this amount of time and not make anything on it, right? So just that. So if you want to help me out, feel free. If you don't and you can't, that's fine. No hard feelings. All right. But I do appreciate those of you that have supported me and are supporting me. Couple quick housekeeping items real quick. This week, the podcast I did past Sunday, go check that out. It's up on the Tube, Spotify, and other podcasting places. I haven't shared it to TikTok. I got a thing from them. You can share your podcast to TikTok. But I couldn't share that one for some reason. I honestly don't know why. I'm going to assume it was something I was doing wrong. I shared a prior one and it went through fine. But go check that podcast out with David. So David Pizarra is a divorce attorney. He's Union of Dads on TikTok, on Dad's Law School also. We talked custody, all way around it, courts, all that stuff. And then David also has a program that he has available, and you can get it if you're a follower of mine and go through that link. You can save 20%. And if you're a guy going through family court or thinking about it, the course is amazing. What he gives you in there. I'm going to say this, and I probably shouldn't, but those of you having to go pro se, you can't afford a lawyer, you need this course. It will definitely help you out. All right. I wish I'd had it when I was doing my divorce cases. And David then is available to answer questions. I'm just saying. If you have not seen the podcast before that, I had Jim on. Jim talked about his horrific experiences. Check that out. And the one I have coming up is really good. It's more on the upper political level, talking about getting politicians and society to support things for boys and men. Something we're really struggling with, right? Getting things like we talked about, we have STEM for girls, we have no equivalent for boys, none. So that type of stuff. Go check these podcasts out. They're very educational. I'm not saying that because I'm in them, okay? I truly believe that. And do me a favor, do the standard stuff, like, share, all that stuff. Follow me on the various social medias. Like my stuff. They are shadow banning me. You can help me out, and anyone that speaks out on men's issues. Like their stuff, share it, repost it, comment on it. Even if you just give us a thumbs up, it helps us beat the algorithm because they are holding us back. It helps you by helping us. You're helping yourself. All right. All right, real quick, because I saw a ton of messages fly in. I see Lindsay's jumping in on stuff. Guys, I do have to go. I'm actually about 5 minutes over. Thank you for watching. I'm here every Wednesday from 4 to 5:30. Sometimes I have a topic. Today we just kind of let things go free flow. The podcast is up Sundays at 11, but replays are available all the time. And stay tuned. I may be adding some more lives here and there. We'll see. Again, thank you for watching. Thanks for joining. Thank you for your support. I'll see you next week.